All right, let's talk about discipline. This video is going to be a bit more raw and personal, so don't expect like crazy dopamine hits and crazy edits, this and that. I really want to talk about the topic of discipline, why so many people struggle with becoming and most importantly, staying disciplined for a longer period of time, and how you can actually change that and at the end of the day, become a more disciplined human being. Before I start with the video, two very important things. Number one, and I guess that one is quite obvious, but still very important. If you have no discipline in your life, you will have a very difficult time with achieving anything, whether that's personal related or business related, because there's this saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. And that is very, very true, right? So if right now you are in a position where you really find it very difficult to stay disciplined, to really be a disciplined person, then you really have to wake up, first of all, realize that, accept that, be like, damn, bro, okay, I'm struggling with that, instead of, kind of ignoring it or like trying to run away from that, acknowledging that, and then also working on it in order to hopefully, at the end of the day, be able to change it. Now, the second thing, a lot of people have a very different and unique approach and perspective when it comes to the whole topic of discipline, which is a very good thing. However, the way that I like to look at the topic of discipline is this. I strongly believe that discipline is the highest form of self-love. And looking at it from this perspective makes things a lot easier for me, because whenever I find myself in a difficult, tricky, uncomfortable situation where I have to do something that I don't necessarily want to do, which means me having to be disciplined, I just remind myself of the fact that, okay, if I do this one task, this one thing right now that I have to do, I just show myself that I respect myself, that I have love and respect for myself. And when I manage to get into this state, this makes it way easier, because then I don't look at having to do this thing from a perspective of, having to force myself, but rather I change the perspective and do the thing from a position of being able to do it in order to be able to show myself that I respect myself. And besides of that, if you have no self-love or self-respect for yourself, how can you expect others to have it for you? I always found it so interesting, because so many people struggle with a lot of things. They aren't disciplined, they almost hate themselves, and then they feel miserable on top of that because no person is respecting them. So if you want something from others, you first have to do it yourself. And it's exactly the same thing with self-love and respect. If you want respect from others, if you want to be respected by other people, you first have to respect yourself. And being disciplined is the best way of getting there. All right, that aside, why do so many people struggle with discipline? Because let's be honest, if we break it down, a lot of people, especially at the beginning of the year, for example, right? Because we are approaching the end of this year, a lot of people tell themselves, okay, in the first 1, 2, 3, 4 months of this year, I'm going to do XYZ. I'm going to go to the gym every single day. I'm going to eat healthy, do all of these things, right? These New Year's resolutions. And then, 1, 2, 3 weeks, maybe 1, 2 months along the line, they stop doing it. They fail, right? And then the question arises, why? It's funny, because the answer to this question is also why. You see, so many people, they see a video like a person on Instagram or YouTube, and they get inspired to do exactly the same thing. For example, going to the gym, going for runs, eating healthy, yada, yada, yada. And that is a very, very good thing. Of course, don't get me wrong. The problem is that when you do it from this kind of position, like having this kind of perspective in regards to this new habit, or this new routine that you want to create for yourself, like that you created for yourself, is that at some point you will lose all the motivation, and essentially speaking, you will stop doing it. And the reason for that is because you don't know exactly why you are doing what you are doing. The difference between people that are very disciplined on paper, that do all of those things, those crazy big things every single day for months, years, multiple years without stopping, like failing, and the people that start to do something but fail after 1 or 2 weeks, is because they know or don't know the reason for doing it. A good example is going to the gym. So you have two perspectives when it comes to working out more. The first perspective would be, okay, I want or need to work out more because obviously it's healthy, everyone is doing it, and it looks good on Instagram. And the second perspective is, I want to become more healthy. I want to have a strong and healthy body so I can create better things in my outside reality, so I can live longer, provide for myself, for my family, for my loved ones, create amazing things, and also influence my mind with clarity and amazing ideas. You see, we are still talking about exactly the same thing, which is going to the gym and working out more. However, when you look at it from the second perspective, the deeper perspective, let's say, you will find it way easier to stay motivated, to keep pushing and going, even when things start to get hard, because deep down, you know exactly why you are doing what you are doing. It also makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because essentially speaking, you have way more skin in the game. Because if we stick to the whole going to the gym example, of course, you will stay way more motivated if you have a deeper purpose or deeper goal that you're following by doing XYZ compared to just doing it for the sake of it. Now, that being said, I want to give you 3 tips, hacks, tricks, or new perspectives that will help you to stay way more disciplined. Number 1, gaining and creating clarity. That is a very, very important thing. You have to be very, very clear on the things that you want to stick to. So for example, write down a list of things that you have to do every single day, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. It doesn't really matter. It should be kind of tweaked to your personal needs and likings. Write it down and really stick to it, because so many people also, they tell themselves, yeah, I want to become more disciplined. But if you ask them, they don't necessarily, they don't really know what to do exactly. So when you bring in clarity into this whole equation, and if you really break down, okay, on Monday I'm doing XYZ, on Tuesday I'm doing this and that, you know exactly what to do, which means you have clarity, and then you also know exactly what you have to do in order to accomplish all of those things step by step. Number 2, as already mentioned, you really have to understand the impact of the things that you want to do and accomplish, which means you have to become very, very specific and clear about the why. So if you want to develop a new habit or routine, don't just tell yourself that you'll do it because you want to or because you have to. Really sit down, take a few moments, especially at the beginning when you're trying to incorporate this new habit or this new routine into your life, and come up with things, ideas, perspectives, and angles of all the things that will change if you stick to that. So once again, if we stick to the whole working out more example, you'll get a stronger body, a more healthy body, which will then allow you to do XYZ, provide for yourself, create amazing things, influence a lot of people, all of those things, right? I mean, honestly, you can come up with endless, literally endless ideas. And the cool thing is that the more ideas and the more reasons and perspectives you can come up with and write down on paper, the easier it's going to be to stick to those things and at the end of the day, become a more disciplined person. And last but not least, make it a part of your personality and identity. Because let's take an example. Let's take spending time, wasting, should I say, time on Instagram, social media, TikTok, whatever, right? It can be quite difficult sometimes when you catch yourself on TikTok to remind yourself of the fact that, okay, it's bad, you shouldn't be doing that because, you could be spending this time more productively, work on your business, work on yourself, etc., etc. Now, the thing, when you change this, once again, perspective, because, as you can tell, it's all about perspective in this video and in life, as a matter of fact, generally speaking, but that's for another video. When you change your perspective towards this, let's say, bad, negative habit behavior, and when you look at it from a perspective of, okay, I'm just not the type of person that is doing XYZ. I'm not the type of person that is wasting time on TikTok, right? For example, it's going to become way easier because you don't identify, you don't relate anymore to this kind of behavior. It's the same thing with things that you don't like. Let's say you don't like to drink coffee, then you also don't have to remind yourself every single time to not drink coffee, because deep down you know that you're just not a person that is enjoying coffee. And it's exactly the same thing with bad habits, routines, behaviors, whatever. When you tell yourself, remind yourself over and over again that you're just not the type of person that is doing XYZ or enjoying XYZ, you will find it way easier to also stop doing it and kind of eliminate it from your life. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Discipline isn't really that big and complex. It's actually pretty simple and straightforward if you break it down. It all comes down to some very basic key things like understanding your why, tweaking your personality and identity, and really having clarity about the things that you want to do or not to do in your life anymore. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I talk about all sorts of things in regards to personal development, business and lifestyle on this channel. So if that's something that you enjoy and want to learn more about, then once again, make sure to subscribe. Besides of that, have a wonderful rest of your day, evening. See you in the next video. Bye bye.